Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hivemind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Except this time, we're gonna switch hypocrisy just a little bit and we're gonna cover the double standard. Once again, the double standard which continues within the left-wing media. There's rules for conservatives and rules for Democrats. Or I guess we could say rules for conservatives and then no rules at all for Democrats, frankly. They can do no wrong, and they can also do what they want. The media will ensure it. And today's topic, Joe Biden, and by extension, Jill Biden, his wife. The double standard at which the media is covering Jill, or as they like to say, Dr. Jill Biden, in respect to how they treated Melania, the FLOTUS, for the last 4 years, is not only astonishing, but it's outright despicable. Attacking Melania for her looks, for her accent, leaking recorded phone calls and trying to spin it into some sort of controversy, even though there's really nothing there, constant relentless attacks, and most recently, releasing fake stories of her betraying her husband, the President Donald Trump. It never ended. But with Jill, they take a little bit of a different approach, oohing and awing at how incredible it is. Dr. Jill Biden, we finally have a doctor in the White House. But the question is, do we really have a doctor in the White House? Or is that another media spin and more media propaganda? Well, we're going to analyze all of it in this video. You might be surprised at this, but there's a little bit of a civil war going on within the Democrat and media establishment over Jill Biden and her title doctor. So before we get into any of it, please make sure to leave a like, a comment, subscribe, share the video as much as possible. We are still shadow banned by the YouTube algorithm, of course, hidden from non-subscribed viewers. And with that out of the way, let's roll the tape. Alright, so the Washington Journal recently released this opinion piece. Is there a doctor in the White House? Followed up with, not if you need an MD, aka Jill is a PhD and not a medical doctor. She's as much of a doctor as Shaquille O'Neal is. And then the opinion piece goes on to say, Jill Biden should think about dropping the honorific, which feels fraudulent, even comic, and the honorific being the title of doctor. And I also agree, it is a little bit fraudulent considering how they've been using it and considering Jill Biden has been giving medical advice on the COVID pandemic, and you'd be hard-pressed to find somebody who didn't think she was an actual doctor. Most people are under the impression that Jill Biden, Joe Biden's wife, is an MD, a medical doctor, but so much so that even talking heads in the media get this confused. And check this out, Whoopi Goldberg making an absolute fool of herself, showing once again how ignorant and blind the left can be sometimes, just following the mantra, just exposing their absolute undying bias towards anyone left-wing. Here she is, suggesting that Dr. Jill Biden should be the Surgeon General of the United States. Check this out.
Dr. Jill becomes a Surgeon General. His wife.
Yeah,
Joe Biden's wife, because she, you know, he would never do it, but she's a hell of a doctor. She's an amazing doctor.
Oh, well, didn't you know? Jill Biden, she's a hell of a doctor. She's an amazing doctor. Thanks, Whoopi. Thanks for showing you have absolutely no interest in telling the truth, but rather peddling false information based on your bias. Could you imagine being a national figurehead with one of the biggest daytime talk shows within the demographic of middle-aged women at home, trying to keep them informed on what's going on in politics, and just outright inventing things based on your bias as you go? Oh yeah, Jill Biden, oh, she's the greatest doctor I've ever seen. She performed open heart surgery on my grandfather and saved his life. Give me a break. These are the people who have been informing half of the public on Orange Man Bad and Russiagate and Russia theories for 4 years now. And you wonder why so many people just blindly voted against the president in the 2020 election. It's a complete joke. And actually, like I mentioned in the intro, the whole fiasco over Dr. Biden, Dr. Jill Biden, and her honorific title has been drumming up a little bit of issue. So I just read you guys the title of the Washington Journal piece. Look how some on the progressive left are responding to the claim. There will most definitely be a doctor in the White House come January 21st, and her name will be Dr. Biden. And to have the audacity to request that she drop her hard-earned title is sexist and completely insulting. Hashtag we have her back. Of course, completely misunderstanding the point. The point is that many people think that she's a literal doctor and it should be at least clarified, or she should drop the title because it's somewhat fraudulent. That's his perspective. But of course, anything left, anything they disagree with, it always has to be sexist, misogynistic, racist, blah, blah, blah. We get it. Virginia Heffernan says, Joe, kiddo, I got my PhD when 2 ancient and 2 mod langs were required and 10 years of bowing and scraping to men like you. So I use my title. Sure, it's not a BA's like you mistaken for MDs, but for people like me and Dr. Biden who are mistaken for housewives. The idea that it's classier to skip the honorific because only MDs are doctors comes from men with status trying to be waspy and flaunt their fake humility. When non-whites and women finally started getting PhDs, they're condemned as tacky if they referred to the accomplishment. And so the progressive left continues to be outraged over the pushback of Dr. Biden, but you know who doesn't care about that? You know who will continue to unleash, and say it like it is, the Tuck. And Tucker Carlson going as far to actually read and analyze, quote, Dr. Jill Biden's dissertation for her PhD, and absolutely slammed her in his most recent segment. Check this out.
Dr. Jill has an education degree from some school in Delaware, and you're supposed to find that highly impressive. She could be a surgeon general. Now, many have laughed at the apparent absurdity of this, but we took it seriously because that's our job. We actually read her dissertation this week, the very document that made her, quote, a doctor. On the very first page of Dr. Biden's opus, she describes an average class of students at a community college called Delaware Tech. Of course, she counts the students by their skin color. She's a Biden, after all. But pay close attention to the math. Quote, 3/4 of the class will be Caucasian. 1/4 of the class will be African American. 1 seat will hold a Latino, and the remaining seats will be filled with students of Asian descent or non-resident aliens. In other words, somehow Dr. Biden accounted for all 5/4 of the class, which actually isn't easy. You've got to pay very close attention to do something like that. As the dissertation continues, so does Dr. Jill's habit of counting things in non-traditional ways. On page 47, for example, she writes this, quote, of the 159 students surveyed, 55 received financial aid, 41 pay their own tuition bills, 45 students' parents pay, 3 spouses pay, 9 receive scholarships, and 9 others receive funds for the GI Bill, vocational rehabilitation programs, or grant. Now, we said that fast, but did you follow the accounting there? Jill Biden surveyed 159 students, but she received a total of 162 responses. So go ahead and try that at home. You can't. You're not a doctor. And it goes on. At one point, Dr. Jill suggests, and this is innovative, that, quote, the administration may want to consider in future planning an 8-week study week. An 8-week week. Bet you no one in the administration thought of that before. In their tired, Western, linear approach to time and space, there was only a single week in a week. Yet another relic of the patriarchy.
Well, that's Dr. Jill Biden, folks. Definitely qualified to be the Surgeon General, am I right? Nope, I'm wrong. She's not. Just like Joe Biden isn't qualified to manage a subways, let alone manage the entire country. Remember that time where he accidentally made a mistake and called Jill Biden his wife his sister and called his sister his wife? Well, here he is introducing Pete Buttigieg as his transportation secretary and accidentally calls Pete Buttigieg's husband, Chasten, something else. Check this out.
And by the way, Jill and I have always enjoyed seeing Pete and Chasten, I should say, together on the trail. Chasten has become a close friend of Jill's and mine.
So he mistakenly called Chasten Kristen. And the only question that I have is, where's the outrage over microaggressions? Seems like another double standard, another one of rules for thee, but not for me. And speaking of a double standard, the media continues to ignore Hunter Biden and the scandal that ensues. But I won't do that, and I'll show you the report. Hunter Biden due significant pay from China business in 2019 and sought $10 million in 2017. So we already covered the $10 million wire transfer from a Chinese energy company back in 2017. Well, he was doing it as 2019, pursuing a significant payment from a Chinese business while his father was campaigning for the presidency. Just think about that. Put that into perspective. The pay-for-play politics using the name Biden isn't a thing of the past from the Obama admin or anything like that. It went on during the Trump administration, still using his father's name. And as recently as 2019 and maybe even in 2020, we're talking about a national security threat, a national security risk. We're talking about serious corruption being unearthed, talking about a pay-for-play scheme, family politics, selling out your country, and the media is nowhere to be found. And most of the Republicans are quiet as well. Mitt Romney actively defended Joe Biden based on some shoddy Senate report. But you know who's not holding back? Senator Ron Johnson, who just came out and said China was, quote, grooming Hunter just like they did with Eric Swalwell. And so, of course, the world needs more Ron Johnson and definitely a whole lot less Mitt Romney going forward. But I think Mitt Romney will learn that when he tries running for president again in 2020 and gets like 2% in the polls. The era of Mitt Romney Republicanism is long gone, dead and gone, and it ain't coming back, folks. I can pretty much tell you that. But that's what I got for you on this one, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure to leave a like, a comment, subscribe, share the video as much as possible. We are still shadow banned by the YouTube algorithm, hidden from non-subscribed viewers, so you must be subscribed to the channel. Now, I gotta get back to work. There's still a bunch of hypocrisy that must be exposed on a daily basis. Of course, you guys know it's a daily gig, so I'm going to get to that. I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.